Shalom. First thing and foremost, I'm going to give all praises and glory and honor that's due to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Peace and blessings and salutations to the hopeful elect. News in the gospel abroad, lifting up the standard of Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, wherever they may be. This is another lesson through the Spirit. Lord's will to be edifying. It says darkness is coming to modern day Egypt, a.k.a. Babylon the Great, which we affectionately call America in the scriptures, because America is Mystery Babylon, the virgin daughter of Babylon, Babylon the Great, etc. So without further delay, this is roughly a 2-minute and 16-minute video, 2-minute and 16-second video, Salakia. And yeah, man, it's just pretty straightforward. It's just Jake was talking about how people are going to go back to a primitive mindset when all hell break loose and there's no particular sanitation or no public works, and people not plowing the streets, and people not public works that upkeep the cities and cutting grass, and the water departments when they're dealing with the pump stations, and they filter all the bio and clean it out and filter that water back into our irrigation systems. Eventually this place is going to stink. It's going to rot. Okay, especially with all of the death and the dead bodies that will come of it from sickness and pestilence, which dead bodies bring in pestilence. The Bible goes into pestilence. So with that being said, yeah, we're coming in a time now that all hell break loose. Snow is actually on time this year, I would say, because we haven't really had a decent snowfall this early in a couple of years, which hit or miss. But this is the end of November. It's roughly December 1st? Yeah, I mean, I guess, you could say the winter month. Technically, we're in the winter. We got our first major snowfall out here in KC. So, yeah, man, look like Esau is moving with this technology, and shit, who knows, There's a documentary called American Blackout, and I believe pretty much all brothers have seen it. This was certainly floating around in circulation maybe a couple years ago, and it was a recommended watch. I think I've watched it on YouTube myself, but it's called American Blackout, and they go into it says it's a documentary film directed, which premiered at the 2006 Sundance Festival. It says the film chronicles the 2002 defeat in the 2004 re-election of Congresswoman Cynthia McKinney to U.S. House of Representatives, but it also discusses issues surrounding alleged voter disenfranchisement, or what they call disenfranchise, and the use of voting machines both in 2000 and 2004 presidential elections, which all that shit was rigged. But it says the film focused heavily on McKinney and claims that her 2002 loss to Democratic primary to Denise Matt, who was likely an African-American, was part of an effort to disenfranchise minority voters. It says McKinney claims that the Republican voters in her district just tipped the primary election to magic, but this itself is legal, as Georgia laws open primaries to all voters, irrespective of the party. Okay, so anyway, American Blackout. Yeah, this is supposed to go into American Blackout, National Geographic. Hold on, maybe this is two different films, because this is the one that I'm thinking about. With basically, they were showing you when the grid was out and all hell was breaking loose. Yep, here, National Geographic, when all hell broke loose and then the food chains was disrupted and people was just going batshit crazy. So this is pretty much what this guy was going into. But also, you go into the book of 2 Kings, the 6th chapter, you go into the besieging of Samaria. Basically, we had a famine to the point that dove's dung and fucking cow's head was sold for 4 to 5 pieces of shekel of silver, man, which is a substantial amount of money or wealth for something that's not even considered edible. So what happens when the food supply systems and the global system shut down today? Just like last month they had with the whole EBT snap shutdown, people was losing their mind, man. Mainly black women going online and complaining, saying, well, we don't have our money, we need to feed our children. Well, whose fault is that? It's not our fault, okay? Because you chose to do away with the man, and you chose to believe in your stepdaddy Esau. which he's divorcing you now. So this is a perfect setup for Jacob's trouble, man, to go full swing ahead because, you know, the prophet's been warning you. Okay, so without further delay, here we go. Salakia for the rant.
I'm not gonna say I thought about this on my own, but it was brought to my attention and it made very good damn sense. What are people gonna do when the lights go out? Ain't no if, but when. You know, what's gonna happen then? When this motherfucker smell like a toilet? When ain't no washing your ass in weeks and months? You know?
First Peter chapter 4, verse 8.
That's the spirit, though. Fuck. My bad, Salakia, man. Let's fast forward a little bit. Go right here. There we go.
I'm not gonna say I thought about this on my own, but it was brought to my attention and it made very good damn sense. What are people gonna do when the lights go out? Ain't no if, but when. You know, what's gonna happen then? When this motherfucker smell like a toilet? When ain't no washing your ass in weeks and months? You know? No deodorants, no soaps, no toilets to flush, no food storage. Some of y'all got young babies out here. What about the babies can't change the baby diaper? Or the baby walking around in shirts and shit? You ain't washed your ass in months, and neither has the dude you been with. No brushing of the teeth. No, none of that. Straight back to primitive and in the dark.
Yeah, he made an excellent point because, matter of fact, let's see what Yahweh Shai said regarding that. I'll come back to that Exodus 10 in a minute. Let's get the book of Luke. Is it Luke 19? Was it Luke 23? Yeah, Luke 23. And 23. No, 23 and... hold on, Salakia. Yep, here we go. Bingo. This is the book of Luke 23. And I'm going to start at verses 28. And it says, But Yahweh Shai turning unto them and said, Daughters of Jerusalem, weep not for me, but weep for yourselves and for your children. Why? Because, see, the Lord knew that once he was given up, he understood that there was going to be a heavy judgment that was going to fall upon the 2/3 of Israel. Because remember, 2/3 of Israel rejected Yahweh Shai. Okay, for all you people out there say all the Jews reject Jesus. No, they didn't. Okay, you had a group of men, a remnant of believers even at that time that followed Yahweh Shai, man. Okay, but you had a vast majority of Israelites that rejected Yahweh Shai, just like today. This is why it says, let our blood be upon us and our children. Let his blood be upon us. Jake put a curse on themselves by shedding the blood of Yahweh Shai. And really, they indirectly did it because it's not the fact that Jake, even though Jake did physically try to kill the Lord, try to throw him over the cliff, try to stone him, you know, ambush him. So Jake is guilty, but the Edomites carried out the physical crucifixion. Okay, but Jake was still a third party witness into it because they called for the killing of Yahweh Shai. They called for Yahweh Shai to be a martyr, man. So you niggas are, that's why you getting fucked up now. You remember, you ain't paid for the Lord said in Matthew 23. He said all of the righteous blood from Abel to Abel into the men of the Lord was come upon this wicked generation. So you Jakes are gonna get it. All right. And on top of that, he knew the Romans roughly, 40 years when Yahweh Shai was crucified, 33 AD. So roughly 30, almost 40 years later, you had the Romans that besieged on Jerusalem during the time of 66 AD. They call it the Masada period or the Flavian dynasty. All right, you had Titus, Vespasian, and Domitian Caesars. And you had the successor to Nero. And that's when Jake was pretty much entarted off into these particular parts of the world, man, because the Lord had them to besiege Jerusalem. And that's getting ready to happen again, you know, on a national scale, which is going to be 10 times as worse. So it says here, for behold, the days are coming in which they shall say, blessed are the barren and the wombs that never bear and the paps which never gave suck. Yeah, it's going to be better if you wish you didn't have kids in that day. Because just like the Jake said, he said, look, a lot of you are walking around here with these babies. You have no survival skills. You don't know how to start fires. You don't understand how to create certain things out of certain products. But instead, you have store-based products that you can go at your convenience and get these things, man. And when I'm not saying that, you know, you have to learn how to make soap, which is a good skill to actually know because it's not that hard. But it's good to have some type of understanding of these particular skills, even if, you know, there's not your forte. Because every brother is not a fisher. Every brother is not a hunter. Every brother is not a wilderness type person. So ideally, you're going to have men in this thing that don't know shit about actual survival outside of what Esau gives them. So this is why the Spirit of the Lord is going to cover the elect. But for you people out there, you have no covering. So when you prepping and you're going in the woods and learning how to pitch tent, that's the benefactor for you because you're not going to have that covering of Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai like the elect will. You know, me and the brothers was meditating on that. You know, we meditate on that periodically because, you know, sometimes we go out to the campgrounds with pitch tent, you know, or we do some fishing. Like me personally, I'm not the best fisher. I mean, I'm pretty sure if I get into it and give myself more time and exude more patience with it, then, you know, I could be okay. But I don't just, you know, it don't be my idea, hey, brothers, get up and go fishing. Even though, you know, I like going fishing. But the preparation to it, I'm more of a kind of quick with it here, bam, let's get it done, you know. But nonetheless, fishing is a good skill to know. It is a good skill to learn. Catch your food, you know, understanding certain clean animals, certain plants you can eat. Like I got a app that I downloaded a while ago, and I can just screenshot a particular plant, and it'll let me know if it's edible or not. You know, but all these things, you know, it's good to have some type of working knowledge of it. As the scriptures say, be not ignorant of anything small or great. We ain't gonna have cell phones in that day because once the grid goes down, your cell phone is gonna be good as dead. You know, and it just my humbled opinion that Esau is gonna let this motherfucker burn to the ground before he offers some type of solution, which is the chip. And then once he starts to open things back up, then turns back on the power, things have pretty much been, all the undesirables have pretty much been wiped out because it's gonna be nothing but chaos. But even then, when they turn shit back on, it's still gonna be chaos all over the place because people just, they've had it. But it says, for behold, the days are coming in which they shall say, blessed are the barren and the womb that never bear and the paps which never gave suck. Then they shall begin to say to the mountains, fall on us, and to the hills cover us. For if they do these things in a green tree, what should be done in the dry? Okay, so we're technically in a green tree now. Now the leaves are fading, you know, the leaves are dying out, you know, the green is becoming brown, you know, but you still can get up, you can still work, you still make money, you can still eat, you still travel as you please, you still go to the store and get pretty much what you want. So technically we're still in the green tree, but once that ends, then hey, people are gonna bug out. Because like I said earlier today about the whole EBT shit, that was still the green tree. And I mean, these people were getting ready to plot on robbing and looting and going in the stores and shooting. 2 motherfuckers got shot in Chicago, a security guard and another person, because they was trying to stop somebody from stealing out of the store because of the whole EBT finagle. You know? So it's gonna get real bad real soon.
Man, that's some shit to think about. If that ain't a reason to find God and hold on to him, I don't know. But it was a food for thought. Because once the lights go out, this bitch gonna turn into an open toilet. Unsanitized. People are not gonna care for real then. Then what?
So yeah, man, you know, Just as simple as that. He said that's the reason to seek the Most High. And he got a point there, man. But even with all these warnings going out, Jake not gonna seek Yahweh Hashem and Howard Shai. Jake still in that mindset. Look, Christmas coming up. Nigga, I'm trying to pick out my New Year's Eve outfit. Come with me to the mall type shit. Jake ain't really thinking about the urgency of the Heavenly Father. This is why the hell with him. Okay? It's the book of Matthew 13, Mark 13. And I'm going to start at verses 14. It says, but when you should see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet, standing where it ought not, let him that readeth understand, and let him that be in Judea flee to the mountains. This is going into the time of 70 AD. And let him that is on a housetop not go down into the house, neither enter therein to take anything out of his house. So when this happens, you can't go back home and say, I need to go grab my PS5. For what? Fuck that PlayStation. It's a done deal. Okay, the things that we possess now are just a temporary means to an end. That's it. From your TVs, your vehicles, your clothes, your games, your job, your money. All these are just means to an end. They just to get you through the past. It's really a passing time thing. It ain't none of this shit you can take with you. Like the Egyptians, they had an old folk for that. The Egyptians believed that they were buried with their treasures because they believe in the next life, which they taught reincarnation, but they thought in the next life they would be wealthy and rich. They would be rich, and they believe in taking their treasures with them to the afterlife, so when they come back, they can still be rich. And in many cases, I see where the elites get that from. Okay, but the Egyptians had the mindset that if they were buried with it, they will be born with it. That's not how that works. Okay, Esau, he keeps his family or his wealth in the family and among the families because they understand that when they come back through their line, they will already be born into wealth. That's why the scriptures say they leave the rest of their substance to their babe. So the Egyptians had a similar concept, but theirs was more on a superficial or a superstitious mindset. Okay, I'm going to bury myself with 2 pots of gold, and when I come back, bam, I'm going to have my riches in the next life. That's not how that shit work. Okay, when you dead and you gone and you be a billionaire, that money is through. It ain't, you don't need it for where you going. But it says here, and let him that is on the housetop not go back down to the house, neither enter therein to take anything out of his house. And let him that is in the field turn not back again to take up his garments. So if you get caught out there in the midst of a blackout, and, after a while, let's just say, lights go out. They may say, well, this is temporary 12-hour blackout. Okay, big deal. People go home and chill. But once they realize that this is a national thing, and when things start to get a little sticky, then people are going to start to say, you know what? Yeah, something ain't right. Rioting, looting, pillaging, murder, all these things become the ordeal. And the reason it says, but woe to them that are with child and to them that give suck in those days, and pray that your flight be not in winter. Yep. So you got kids, even though, the scriptures say there would be a certain amount of spirits on the earth prior to Yahushua returning. Me personally, this ain't the time to be having no kids. Now, each brother, they got their own lot. Certain brothers like, look, I'm going to have as many kids as I want. That's okay. But me personally, if the Lord can control that, or the Lord can help me, I'm not having no goddamn kids. I don't want the headache. It's just not on this side. In the kingdom, we're going to build the nation. But right now, it's probably not the wisest time to be trying to put kids in these fickle-ass women. So you brothers out there that's single and don't have children, hey, count yourself blessed. That's all I'm going to say. Those you brothers that have children, count yourself blessed, because children is a gift from Yahweh Shai. But unfortunately, on this side, children are more like a curse, because you don't have ownership to them. You're supervising you don't, how the hell you supervising your own kids? You don't even own them. You're just supervising them until until the state comes in and take them from you and put you in jail. But anyway, it says here, and pray ye that your flight be not in the winter, for in those days should be great affliction, such it was not from the beginning of the creation which the Most High created unto this time, neither shall it be, and except that the Lord hath shortened those days, no flesh should be saved, but for the elect's sake whom he have chosen, which proves the Lord is dealing with the elect, which you other Israelite camps don't teach. It says he have shortened the days. So this time is going to speed up, and it's going to fly by, man, because it's a thing of mercy for the elect. But if it wasn't for the elect's sake, you people, the Lord will drown you niggas out in this shit. He'll prolong it 30, 40 years just so he can eliminate you, man. Just like in the wilderness, the Lord prolonged that 11-day trip for 40 years so he can kill off the wicked undesirables of our nation. You know? So, Exodus 10. And I got to shut it down. I got to go to this stupid class. But Exodus 10, and I'm going to start at verses 21. It says, and Yahweh said unto Moses, stretch out thy hand towards heaven, that there may be darkness over the land of Egypt, even darkness which may be felt. All right. I mean, a thick darkness to the point, apparitions, you know, demons, spirits, ghosts, whatever you want to call it. All right. Actual darkness, because you can actually feel darkness. Because there's a spirit in that shit, man. It's hard to describe. I gave the analogy or the example years ago when I was doing indoor construction at a hospital, a decommissioned hospital. They had us working in a freaking mortuary. And then when we finally went upstairs to like the 3rd or 4th floor, I mean, it was the corridors, it was pitch black. I mean, it looked like a haunted house. It had the lights that was flickering on and off. And we went through this dark corridor, you know, and it was just dark. And every step we took, it literally felt like our bodies were disappearing in the darkness. That's how heavy the darkness was inside of a fucking building. So just imagine when the Lord puts a veil of death and darkness over this place, how people gonna bug out. I mean, it was so bad to the point you couldn't even see your hand before your face. That's how dark it's gonna be out here. You know, so the Lord is gonna do a great miracle. It says that Moses stretched out his hand towards heaven, and there was thick darkness in all the land of Egypt 3 days, and saw not one another, neither rose any from his place for 3 days, but the children of Israel had light in their dwelling. So, yeah, we had light at that time because the Lord was with us. Okay, but as it tells us in Job 10, 10 and 21, and it says, before I go whence I should not return, even to the land of darkness and the shadow of death. Babylon, this is the land of darkness, because of the wickedness, the works, the deeds. And the land of darkness is darkness itself, and as a shadow of death without any order, and where the light is as darkness. Yeah, because scriptures go into, woe to them that call evil good and good evil. Okay. Last precept, 2 Edda 6 and 22. It says, and suddenly shall the sown places appear unsown. The full storehouse should be suddenly found empty, and the trumpet should give a sound. When every man heareth, they should suddenly be afraid. And at that time, shall friends fight one against another like enemies, and the earth shall stand in fear with those that dwell therein, and the springs and the fountains shall stand still, and in 3 hours they should not run, meaning that there's going to be a complete halt to the functionality of these operations of what they call life as we know it. Okay, so with that, all praises and glory and honor that's due to Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. Lord's will, you edify. To the next lesson. Shalom.